Yeah, the senior citizens.
I don't do anything about that.
Yeah.
Your name's on there.
100-year anniversary.
Yes, which ones? You got it.
Login, or check it at 5.
All right, we're ready to go, guys.
Yeah, 5:30. Well, I got my first fair boy thing that night, and then I tell them I'll be late. Not missing where to get dressing.
That's on a Saturday.
Uh-huh,
At 5:30 where?
at the
Extension office.
extension office,
Oh, it's at the extension.
at 76 Golden Circle,
Okay.
off Stacy Lane.
Curious, I would've known.
Have you delivered mail there?
Live when you're ready.
Okay. I was moving slow today, Mr.
It's
Saylor.
all right.
It's up by the senior citizen, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to this special call board meeting on May 3rd, 2022 at 6 p.m. I would like to start by saying our pledge.
Oh, sorry.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. There's a sign-in sheet if any visitors would like to sign in. Mr. Saylor, first on our agenda tonight, we have our facilities and construction updates.
Yeah, the first couple of items were items that we tabled at the last meeting. As you know, we received bids on both of these projects. And at the time, the architect had made the recommendation that based on those bids, we started to reject the bids. But instead of doing that, we just tabled it and we entered into competitive negotiation. There was one contractor that had submitted bids for these two projects, and that was Jarbo Construction. And I tell you what, they really went back and they did their due diligence to try to get both of these projects into a form that we could afford to approve these two projects. So we had a bid opening again yesterday. And I feel like that based on those bid openings, I feel like that we can move forward this afternoon. If you look at the first one is the contract for the middle school ARP Esser restroom renovation. And you have your recommendation letter there from Peter. You can see what the final total cost was, and I think the total cost of construction for the middle school project was $525,081.95. What we did is that we went back and we focused on the student restrooms. Those were the ones, the big gang restrooms are the restrooms that were in the worst shape. The individual restrooms where you got single-use restrooms, they're not really in that bad a shape. They just basically need a coat of paint, and they were going to do all that. But in order to get this to where we could afford it, we really need to take care of our students. That's what it's about. So that's going to take care of these 6 gang restrooms. It will totally redo the restroom that's down by the gymnasium. That's the one that's used the most by the public. The one down by the gym, because of your lunchroom and everything is centered right there in that area. It gets all new fixtures, but the other restrooms, they'll all be redone. But the fixtures in that building are in great shape, so we're going to reuse the fixtures. And they were able to get this down quite substantially to where we could afford it. So my recommendation to you all, based on this competitive negotiation, that we award the contract to Jarbo in the amount of $525,081.95.
Okay, I need a motion to award the contract as discussed. Have a motion by Sheila Samples. Do I have a second? Brian Covey makes a second. Do we have any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Of course, anytime you award the contract, you got to revise the BG1, so that's the next item there. And Jeremy, if you'll pull up that BG1 for us, that will give us the total construction cost. And if you'll move on down, just keep going, you'll see a total right there, $604,375.19. That is an Esser 3 project that's in the budget. You'll see it here in a minute. And my recommendation is that you approve the revisions to the BG1.
Do I have a motion to approve the BG1 as discussed? Brian Covey makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll say it.
Tammy Hardy makes a second. Do we have any discussion? I'd like to call for a vote at this time. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, Mr. Saylor, next we have the South Irvin Early Childhood Center Esser project.
Same situation, you tabled this last board meeting. Jarbo, we entered into competitive negotiation with them. They were the only bidder. And this project, we removed some of the scope out back in the annex out back of South Irvin. That is a newer building, so the windows in that part of the building are not in that bad a shape. Plus, that's only used as office space. Students are not in that area. So we decided that we could forego those windows, so we removed that from the scope of the project and really tried to concentrate on the classrooms, the secure entrance, and they were able to really work to get this bid down as well. And as you can see, the base bid amount of $605,062.61. And after working with Peter yesterday, we do feel that that is in line. And if we're going to get this project done, we need to go ahead and get started. So my recommendation is to approve the contract for $605,062.61.
I'd like to call for a motion to approve the contract for the South Irvin Early Childhood Center as discussed. Brian Covey makes a motion, Tammy Hardy makes a second. Do we have any discussion at this time? I'd like to call for a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0. Next, we need to approve the revised BG1 for the South Irvin project.
And again, you all are getting old pros at this. We have to revise it to reflect that construction cost. You can see the total project cost of $694,540.36. So that is the new project cost, and I would ask you to approve the revised BG1.
I'd like to call for a motion to approve the revised BG1 as discussed for the South Irvin project. Ms. Sheila Samples makes a motion. Do I have a second? Ms. Tammy Hardy makes a second. Do we have any discussion? I'd like to call for a vote at this time. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with.
And so you all will know on that particular project, Jarbo's already been back in contact with us. They have found a different way to do the metal out front of the building, which is going to result in about a $60,000 savings. So basically, that's going to be $60,000 cheaper than what you're seeing right there. It'll be done through a deductive change order when the time comes. So they've really worked hard to try to get it within our budget. And they're a good company, and I'm glad we're going to be doing business with them. That right there goes to show you their heart's in the right place. They're trying to save the district money. They're trying to work with us instead of against us. So I really appreciate that.
Okay, Mr. Saylor, next we have our Estill County High School Esser Sanitary Line project. That's a nightmare.
Well, it's been, yeah, and I tell you what, sanitary not something you want to fool with too much unless you want a mess on your hands, but we have.
No pun intended.
No pun intended, and definitely no fun either. We've had to stop work down on the lower end because it just so happens that the route of the sewer line is right against a 4-inch gas main with Columbia Gas. So we had to reroute that. We did meet yesterday out there. We've got a plan. They should be back to work tomorrow. I'm sorry, tomorrow's Wednesday. They should be back to work Thursday. We've planned a new route, which honestly is gonna save us some money. But it will, the line, I did not feel comfortable that the line was going to be under the bleachers or underneath the retaining wall. But we're gonna be able to take the line down the sidewalk, which is not a bad deal. You know, sidewalk, you know, you can take a sidewalk out, you can't take all the bleachers out. So it's actually gonna save us some money. And then hopefully we will have an answer for the part of the sewer line that leads from the front office of the high school down to the new field house. We'll have an answer on it here pretty quick. Just know it's out there. It is painful. I mean, that's the one that keeps me up at night. But I feel like we're getting closer, so we'll see how it goes. But just know they will be back to work Thursday. So we've got 2/3 of the line we've got a solution for. It's the 1/3 of the line from the high school to the new field house that we've got to figure out. So hopefully we're gonna have something going here within the next couple weeks. And then plenty of time for school to start in August. And by the way, the middle school and South Irvin should start around May 25th. That's the start date on those. But that's the update on the Esser 3 sanitary line. There's no further action on it at this time.
Okay. So next on our agenda, we have property to
Yeah,
discuss.
this involves West Irvin. And at one time, the old railroad bed was an easement that was granted to the board. That old railroad bed ran along and it went along a piece of property out there. And the whole reason that easement was there was, at one time, the thought process was that that would be the exit for West Irvin School. And at least that's why I was told that that easement was there, to have access to the school property. Yeah, we're going right by the graveyard. Well, that ship sailed. The people that have now bought the piece of property there that's right around the cemetery and stuff, you know, they bought that piece of property. It's got the easement, is still part of that. And of course, the property's not worth as much with the easement there. I mean, you know, because whenever you sell that piece of property, you're selling also the rights for that use of that property. And we don't have a need for it. The property belongs totally to the property owner. So I believe it's the right thing for us to do, to go ahead and file a quitclaim deed and give up the right to the easement. We'll never use it, we'll never need it. And it just makes their piece of property more valuable, and it helps out the landowner. And what else? If we can't take care of our neighbors in our community, there's no reason to be in this business. So we need to approve this quitclaim deed, and that's my recommendation to you all, and get it executed and get it done.
Do we have a motion to approve the quitclaim deed for the property at West Irvin? Sheila Samples makes a motion. Do we have a second? Tammy Hardy makes a second. Do we have any discussion regarding this?
I'll take care of that. I believe it's Mr. Howard Rogers, I believe, is the gentleman that bought the piece of property.
Do we like to call for a vote then? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
He'll be glad to hear that.
Which brings us down to the reason we're here for our budget work session.
Well, just to get you all up to speed of where we're at, and just to talk about moving forward, I thought that the first thing I wanted to share with you all was the district accomplishments, and that's the very last attachment down there, Jeremy, at the bottom. And if you want to pull that up, and I gave each of you all a copy of that as well. And these are, for the past 7 years, I've pretty much tried to keep track. These are the things that we've done as a board team, because this is not Jeff Saylor, this is a board team. It takes your all support, it takes your all's approvals, and things that needed to be done to put our school system on the right track. And if you'll go down through there, it's first divided by vision and mission work. There's 2 items down here that are new for this year, that we've done a district-wide culture and equity audit. And we will be working with Dr. Roger Cleveland this fall to begin diversity and equity work in our district. And the big focus of our diversity and equity work centers around poverty, because of the poverty situation that we face in our school district, but it's ever encompassing. This is also a KDE initiative. This is not something that we really have an option, because this is a initiative coming from KDE, but we'll begin that process and begin the task of trying to figure out how we can try to address some of the cultural needs that our students have in terms of equity and diversity and biases and different things that impact our student body and our community. So we'll be doing that. If you'll move on down, Jeremy. The next part is just management changes at central office. And just know that the big one that's going on right now is just the implementation of our new employee payroll system. And not just our payroll system, but finance in general. And I think our employees already know this, and we've started communicating, but starting in July, we will be paying bi-monthly. Our employees will receive 2 checks a month. They'll receive a check on the 15th and the 30th. We were one of few school districts that still paid on a monthly basis. We've been gearing everything we've been doing upstairs in terms of a lot of our revamp, and Miss Isaacs has led this work along with Miss Angie, and they've been working to get us to this point. And we still got a lot of work to do here over the next 2 months, but we're there, we're ready, and we've got the right people in place, and we can make this happen. So I think that is a biggie. Leadership capacity, this is one thing we're really proud of. We basically right now have 10 national board certified teachers. We had 0. No, let me take that back. We had 1 when I got here, and I think their certification was expired. Now we have 10. Those teachers are up for renewal. As a board, you all have approved helping them to retain this certification, and we are also going to take basically, in a sense, applications for our next group of National Board Certified teachers to see if we've got other teachers that might be interested. It is a $2,000 stipend, a pay raise for them, and as long as they keep their certification up and going, it's $2,000 a year. I told you I'm gonna die from choking one day for no reason.
Need a minute?
No, that's what I got choked on. But thank you. That is if you want to knock me on off. But we hope to have some more National Board Certified teachers, and the good thing is that the legislature fully funded that this year, so we were paying them $2,000, and the state was only reimbursing us for about $1,700 of that, so it'll be fully funded now. And one thing I'm really proud of is all of our administrators at our schools and several of our administrators here at the central office. I know Miss Isaacs and Miss Charlotte, Miss Reese was before she left. I think Miss Amanda Bryant have all been through NISL, which is a leadership program for administrators, and that is really been important for us. Moving on down, for instructional, the big thing is the reorganization of Springs and West. It's ongoing. We're in the process right now of adopting a new core curriculum program for reading and math. And I don't know if that would have been possible without the reorganization, but we've got everybody working together. And we are communicating, and people are getting on board, and I really feel it's going to be positive. We have a few things come up every once in a while. We had a situation come up today about a teacher at the high school that is worried about transportation for their children and them living out of living out of county, but that's something, we'll have to, a few little things that we'll have to solve from here and there, but we'll figure that out. It's not something that we can't solve. Really proud of the next one, the implemented grades K through 12, and by FY '23. We could not have done that without Esser funding, but all your students next year, K through 12, they have Chromebooks. They have the technology available to them. It's now Jeremy's job to make sure that we get our teachers trained in the use of technology. And another big thing that we did not even put on here is the purchase of interactive boards for all of our classrooms at Springs, West, and all the core classrooms at middle school and high school. It's a $360,000 investment. And we'd sort of been saving all those federal funds from previous years, and we were able to use that $360,000 worth of federal funds to make that purchase. And we need to add that, Tanya, if you'll make a note. That, very important. There won't be 5 school districts in this state that will have the technology that our teachers are going to have in front of them. I mean, by the time you take one-to-one Chromebooks, those Chromebooks can interact with that interactive board. And so teachers can see anything and everything that's going on. I mean, it's really amazing for little old Estill County to be at the top of the state in terms of classroom technology availability. Yes, Ms.
What about textbooks being on the Chromebooks and associated with digital instead of just?
All
paperback?
textbooks are going to digital. So yes, they'll have access, especially high school, middle school. It's all digital textbooks now. Now, it's our new core reading programs and stuff, there'll be some different things there, but they can pull everything down off the web now. Everything's digital.
We all have those components now
Okay.
because of COVID.
But
But
you,
with little ones, you have to have
Have
tangible
handheld.
readers.
Right,
So, it's kind of a balance.
but we had never discussed it, and I didn't know for sure if we did.
Yeah.
and so we have budgeted $305,000 for the new core reading and math programs. That's part of the K-5 initiative. That's the one thing we decided when we made that change. We had to put the resources in it, and that's what we're doing. We're basically taking away excuses. There'll be no excuses moving forward, that I don't have this or we don't have this. They're gonna have everything that they need. That's what Esser funds are for. Support programs, especially, that's your social worker, your new counselors, your counselor at South Irvin, your college and career counselor. Now, those are all provided right now through Esser. 2 years from now, the board will have to decide, or we'll have to look at budgets, or the board sitting at that time will have to look at budgets. But going on down to budget, facilities, and finance, as you all know, very proud of the third one from the bottom. We have now purchased 26 school buses. We run 30 school buses every day. So over a 7-year period, we have almost replaced 90% of our bus fleet. When I got here, we didn't have 5 buses that was within 10 years old. So that has been a big commitment, and you can pretty much take each one of those buses about $100,000. So that's $2.6 million you spent on buses. And we've received several grants to help pay for those, as you can see. Facility upgrades, of course, what can you say about our facilities? You just approved 2 more projects tonight. Things in yellow are things that's done. We'll be knocking a bunch of those off before the school year starts, but there'll be several of those that will be going on throughout the rest of the year. So that's what you've been able to do as a board team, or we've been able to do as a board team. Jeremy, if you will go to tentative budget talking points, that's the next place that we need to go to. Well, I don't know, Angie, maybe the next place, maybe we need to go to the current budget. Let's go to the current working budget. And just let you all see, yes, the working budget, if you don't care. That one right there, and if you can blow that one up. It sort of shows where we're at right now in terms of all of our budgets. You can see that our beginning balance was actually, move down just a little bit, Jeremy. No, the other way, please. No, that way right there. You can sort of see the actuals, last year's actuals and all that, budget appropriated. And all we've done there is we've rebudgeted some of these funds in terms of what beginning balance and all that was. But you can pretty much see our revenues have basically been within projections. We've also took a little over $300,000 of our Esser 3, which was our indirect cost that was part of this budget. And I don't know if you've got any specific questions about this budget, but Angie, as of right now, any red flags in this budget that you see as we're moving forward?
Not really red flags, but just with the increase in, excuse me, in fuel cost and electricity, just things that we're experiencing worldwide. It's not but I think we're gonna be okay because we have tried to save and plan for some of those things.
We did meet last week as a central office, all of the supervisors, we met, and we went through, and not only did we go through items here, but we also went through and talked about things leading up until this coming budget as well. And I'm trying to get down here to where I can pull up on my, or whatever, okay, here I go. But there's been very few changes to this working budget throughout the school year in terms of our funding. Our tax revenues have come in pretty much where they should be. I've always said, and I'll say it again, our community, they pay their taxes. We have a pretty good tax, our tax revenue, we don't have a lot of people that don't pay their taxes. And you can see our total revenues was this year $22,117,000. As you know, we had projected our rollover to about 1.7, and it was 2.3. So that's helping offset some of the costs that we're seeing with diesel. Our diesel fuel's doubled. Gas is doubled. Electricity's up probably 30-40%.
Yes.
So you're seeing things go up right now. But it also tells you sort of what's in instruction. There was very few changes here. Just remember that nurses are not part of this budget. They were all pulled out in Esser, which allowed us to do some other things. Just some other points in this budget. You paid for old Irvin out of the general fund to demolish it. It starts as soon as school's out next week. We just decided to wait till everybody was out of there. That
That's
way
good.
we wouldn't get stuff damaged. And so it starts
Safety
the
first.
16th. It's in the budget. Right now, it's like there's money in there right now for one-to-one devices. Well, we've not had to use that money because we bought it out of Esser funds. So we've been building some cash, and you're gonna find out in a minute why we've been building cash. Because we knew that we had issues with the high school project and the funding of that project moving forward. So we've been building cash on those particular items. We've tried to make sure, and one thing I wanted to make sure of before I leave here next June 30th, our maintenance guys, we don't need to be sitting here begging and borrowing and pleading and trying to fix things when we don't have the right equipment. I mean, we bought a brand new tractor, we're buying a bush hog that's gonna take care of all this ditch lines and all this, how we've had to hire people in the past come in and cut ditch lines and stuff. We're not gonna have to do that anymore. We don't even have a dump trailer. We're buying a dump trailer. We need to be able to haul some things, and, we don't need to every time, if we need just a few gravel, we don't need to have to go and hire somebody to haul a big truckload in. We can go and get them loaded ourselves
Be
on
more
a dump
safer
trailer.
right that way.
And we can take care of a lot of this stuff ourselves that we're having to pay for. So they're gonna have, we basically have new maintenance vehicles, we have vans to transport our students, we have new equipment, so we've bought all those items. And, so I tell you, I'm really proud of what we've been able to do from a budget standpoint, because we've been very considerate of the taxpayers' dollars, because this money belongs to our taxpayers. And we've got to make sure that we're spending it correctly. So I don't know if you all have any questions about this year's budget. If there's anything you're concerned of as we close out this school year, I can tell you there's been very few changes in this budget. And we're expecting our rollover to be pretty much where it was at this year, and maybe even a little bit better, because there are some things in this budget that right now we're not spending that money because we're paying for it out of Esser funds. Trying to build that, one thing y'all asked me to do, don't leave us broke.
No.
We're not gonna do that. Angie, anything else you can think of? Miss Isaacs?
Not that I can really think of.
You all have any questions for us? Well, I don't want to keep y'all here longer than they are, but I wanted to make sure that we go over a few things. Real quick, Jeremy, just your Sr2 budget. You all seen this budget? And if you all want hard copies of these, I'll get Rebecca to print them and we'll get them to you all. These are the most recent budgets. I want you to see the very top of this one. Remember one of the things they said, money for reorganization. We need money. Right there in Esser is the $110,000 that we budgeted, not only for Springs and West, but we're doing some curriculum work in language arts. That's part of a KDE pilot, so we needed a little additional funding at the high school and middle school. So we budgeted $110,000 in Esser too, as part of that. And then the reading and math program, that's the core program, K through 5. We were able to budget $100,000 out of Esser 2 to support that. And so that's really the big changes that you see there. You can see your summer school that's below that in ESS. Jeremy, just thumb on down through there. I was going to point out if there's anything else. That's your summer school transportation. That's our Success Academy. That's their testing program or their curriculum program they use. That's no change. Technology has been a little bit of change, because notice your one-to-one devices there. As long as we're paying for one-to-one devices out of Esser funds and we're not using that money in the current general fund budget. And we're updating all of our software programs. For instance, our personnel, everybody in this school district is going to be able to take their cell phone. We're going to get to the point we're not even going to print a pay stub. You're going to have an app on your phone. You're going to hit your app. It'll tell you exactly what your deductions are, what your paycheck was, when it went in. Everything's electronic. So we're updating all that as part of this thing. That's why that money's there. See your staffing there. You got your college and career counselor that's there. That middle school nurse, I was able to pull that money out because we actually paid for it in CARES 1. So that helped. That's where I got the $225,000 from. That was one place we got it from. And you can go on down, Jeremy. Again, these haven't changed much. High school, middle school furniture, that was paid for out of CARES 1. You had a district custodian that was paid for out of CARES 1. So it's just a matter of moving this money around. And last part of it, Jeremy, and you all have had time to look at this, and this is where your family needs, and there's your buses. That's your $445,000 are the buses we bought this year. And that also includes a van that we're getting ready to purchase as well. And there's your property insurance paid for out of this. So, and just think, every time you pay for that property insurance out of Esser, that's $230,000 in your general fund that goes to balance. Okay, so we're trying to, I think you're going to be well pleased. As we get the next June 30th, I think you're going to be well pleased with your fund balance, unless something just goes haywire.
Looks good.
unless something just goes haywire with the economy, you're gonna be well pleased, I believe, as we get to next June 30th, and the new superintendent will be well pleased as well. They won't be walking into a situation where there's no funding. Esser 3, real quick, and again, this budget's been updated. And notice right at the top again, notice your reading and math program, there's $205,000 there. Right in the middle, that goes along with the other 100,000, that's the 305,000 it will use to buy a reading and math program K through 5. Biggest thing on this one is I updated all the construction projects. Move way down, Jeremy. Go all the way down. Keep going. That's all your nurses, everything in there. That's your part-time custodians in there. Oh, go back to where your part-time custodians were. All your construction projects right there has been updated. Your high school HVAC was 180. Right now, your high school sewer line's 336. The middle school restroom, 604. You just approved it. Field house was 218. It's actually going to be about 160. We know there's going to be a deductive change order on that one to save some money. Estill Springs is still in there at $2.741 million. The window, South Irvin window project, now I have actually reduced that one some, but it's probably still gonna be about $630. So there's a little bit of additional money there, but all those have been updated. And right now, we do have 2 school buses down at the bottom that if at all possible, that $260,000, we've been looking at buying 2 of the rear engine buses that not only could be used especially on Broadway with our 2 buses here in town, they're always overcrowded. But also, I mean, that's been something that a lot of teams, they like to take their athletic travel in those buses if we can afford them. Now, I will tell you this, I expect the sewer line out in front of high school to be in another $300,000. That money's there. If we don't buy buses this coming year, we just don't buy them. The sewer line is the #1 priority, but that money's sitting there. If we don't have to use all of it, we've got it there, okay, to purchase buses. But you can see, and then right there at the very bottom in the middle, right above that $5,219,000 or $614,000. Now that's $614,000. We will request that, or you may already requested it. Was it in?
Getting ready to.
Getting ready to request it at the April request, federal cash request. That's going in your budget for your high school athletic projects. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that that's $614,000. That's where that's going. Any questions about Esser 3?
I think it's unprecedented that, I mean, we've never gotten money like this.
No, and you'll
And
never
never get it again.
You'll never get it again. That's why we better, that's why I
Use it to
know
the best if we can.
the middle school and South Irvin project was a little bit above budget, but we can't do anything about inflation. We can't do anything about supply chain issues. All I know is those kids deserve to have those nice facilities, and it's gonna cost us a little bit more, but we've never had this money before. We're not gonna have it again, so we better do it. That's what you all said you wanted to do, right? Let's knock these things out. You wanted to knock them out, and that's what we're doing. The only thing left out there right now is that sewer line project at the high school and Estill Springs. And Estill Springs scares me to death. But it's the only thing left out there in terms of what it's gonna bid at. And it does, it scares me to death, but we'll see. We also know that you found out last board meeting, not only do you have that $2.8 million right here in this budget, you've also got $3.7 million worth of bonding capacity. So I believe unless something just absolutely goes haywire, we're gonna be able to do the Estill Springs project. The only sad thing is it may not be done by the time I leave, but that's okay. That's fine. You all can see it through, and it'll be okay. Tanya and I'll just come back to the open house whenever you have it. But I worry about that one. That's good, Jeremy. So Rebecca, if we don't care, let's get them some hard copies of those where they've got something to look at, those particular items. I should have brought them to them. I started to do that. I printed them the other day, and I accidentally printed them in black and white for everybody here in the office, but we'll get those printed. let's go to the talking points. And these are the things that we're thinking about, and these are the things that we want you all to consider for this budget, because Angie, by statute, we have to approve a working budget. A tentative budget at the May meeting. It doesn't become the working budget until September. So, additional revenue. It was a good legislative session. There was some things that happened. We're just not gonna dwell on the bad things, let's dwell on what was good. We did have a SEEK funding increase. That SEEK funding increase was $420,000. Also, when you look at, we have pretty much froze our tax rate over the last couple of years. I believe it's been 51.3, is that right, Angie?
Yes, sir.
At 53.1, or 51.3 cents. Usually, that results in us getting about an additional $20,000. Now, I don't know what that's gonna look like this year. I've not talked to Jeff lately at the PVA, because we know right now property values are going through the roof. So there could be some additional tax revenue, but also we have to consider the fact we lost a lot of property during the flood last spring. So I don't know what's gonna happen with tax rates. But going into this budget, I think we can all agree, with all this money, we're not gonna ask for a tax increase. But I also know that you cannot do a tax cut, because the bottom line is that when this money's gone in FY '24, you've got to make sure you're on financial footing. So you can't do a tax cut either. Could it be possible that property taxes raise if we lost enough property during the flood and that gets figured in? Yes, your compensating rate could go above 51.3. I don't expect it to, but I'm not telling you it's not gonna happen. Again, we probably need to have a conversation with Jeff sooner or later, and Angie and I probably just need to make that call. One good thing about interest rates going up is you're gonna start seeing interest income on your balances start going up. We projected it at $10,000, which doesn't seem like a whole lot. It could very well be more than that. It's supposed to go up, did it go up a half a point today?
They were talking about it.
I don't know.
I don't know. I
It was
haven't seen
supposed to
all
go up a half a point today. Listen, that means our interest goes up a half point. You start collecting a lot of interest income at that point in time when you got $3 or $4 million in the bank. So it will start increasing pretty quick. Here's good news. We finally paid off the Kista buses.
it. Good.
I inherited that debt and I've lived with it for 8 years. And that debt is now gone. So that's $44,000 that's been in this budget every year that no longer has to be in this budget. So that's $44,000 that now can go, and it was going there, it was helping transport our kids at the time. But the worst deal in school business is to finance school buses. Pay for them, find a way to pay for them. You don't want to do that. So that's $44,000. Right now, we have cut 5 teaching positions out of this budget. And that's $250,000. These have been done really through attrition. Now, you're gonna hear, yes, letters have went out. There are some people that's not being renewed for various reasons. So when you hear that stuff, just know those are personnel matters. You refer them back to me, okay? Refer them back to me, refer them back to the principal. Principal's gonna refer them to me. That's just part of the role of personnel. That's how school districts operate. We also had 5 retirements. Just remember that anytime you have a retirement, that person's making $60,000, you're hiring somebody making 40. I just counted at 15 because you might hire somebody with more experience or something. So that's an additional $75,000. So that's $325,000. Now, the one missing piece that I didn't put in here, and that was, I did not put in here kindergarten funding. The legislature did approve kindergarten funding for the next 2 years. And you're saying, well, why didn't you put that in here? Because it's not part of the SEEK formula. And if the economy has a downturn, it's gonna be awful easy for the legislature to say, hey, we're gonna take kindergarten funding back, we can't afford it no more. Until they codify that funding and put it within SEEK, you can't depend on it. Now, I know school districts right now, they're giving raises based on that money. And in my opinion, they're making a huge mistake, giving raises based on, I'm not worried about this coming school year financially. I'm not so much worried about '24, although I have some worry about the next administration coming in here because you're no longer going to be able to count 18, 19 attendance data. So attendance is going to be very important this coming school year in terms of how much funding you're going to get in FY '24. But if they take away kindergarten funding, we don't get some of these homeschool students back, FY '25 could be a hard year budget-wise. That's why we got to do the financial smart things now. So we can't promise employees raises based on $360,000 worth of kindergarten funding that may or may not be here in FY '26. Because right now you've got, you got 23, 24 to be FY '25, I'm sorry. That money may not be there. That could flat out be a $360,000 cut, and if you give it out in employee raises, you're hurting. You're talking about massive layoffs in some of these school districts in order if they do this. So here's what we're proposing in terms of raises. I do believe our employees deserve a raise. Your legislators, every one of them got out here. We sent them a ton of money. They've got all kinds of money, they can give you a raise. And I do agree we need to give everybody a raise. Now, what I have projected and what we're looking at, and we've already started looking at it, a 3% increase for TRS, that's Teacher Retirement System. If you pay into the Teacher Retirement System, you would get a 3% increase. And that would be somewhere between $240,000 and $270,000. Angie's even trying to get this more narrowed down as time goes, but that is a really very close estimate. It's going to fall somewhere in those two corners. Then all of our classified employees, 3% for some of our classified employees, guys, is nothing. When you've got somebody making $11 an hour, that's 33 cents on the hour. I mean, you're talking about less than $2 a day. So it's really not, it doesn't even pay for their extra gas to get the work. So our proposal is that anybody that pays into CERS, that's a classified employee, will get $1 per hour. That's cooks, that's instructional assistants, that's bus drivers, that's mechanics, that's maintenance, that's custodians, that's all your secretaries, that's bus monitors. They will get $1 on the hour. And what that amounts to, now we do have some, like for instance, we've got one of our RNs doesn't have a 4-year degree. They don't necessarily have to have a 4-year degree to be an RN. They can have a 2-year degree. The ones that have a 4-year degree, they're paying into teacher retirement. But the one that's 2-year degree, they're CERS. So in that particular case, that person makes about $25 an hour. So $1 on the raise, or $1 or 1% would be 25 cents. So that means $1 means that they're going to get a 4% raise. But now a bus monitor is going to get a 9% raise. So our classified employees would get somewhere between 4% and 9%. And I feel like that is going the extra mile to say, hey, we understand that times are tough, inflation's tough, you've been underpaid in the past, this is our opportunity to do it. And this money is in the budget, it's part of SEEK. So by the time you do $1 for classified, it would be $140,000 to $150,000. Total cost of your raises would be between $380 and $420. Now that pretty much takes your entire SEEK. But remember all those other things that add to that. We didn't spend every dime we've got. But we did spend our entire SEEK increase to give our employees a raise.
That's pretty much in line with a lot of the other districts.
Yeah, I've got all the data to back it up. Everybody's doing somewhere between 2 to 3. We've got a couple of we got 3 school districts right next to us that's doing 5. But now we're so far ahead of them, they're trying to catch up to us. Because guess what you're doing right now? You're competing. If there's a math teacher out there, you're competing. If they can drive just a few more miles and make $5,000 more, they're gonna make $5,000 more. And I mean, we've been good to our employees because when other school districts was giving them a bonus and everybody said, well, why didn't we get a bonus? Well, we gave them a percent raise, which that means that for a teacher, that's about $500. That teacher's gonna get that $500 for the rest of their career. It's worth a lot more than a $2,000 bonus. We've talked about that. It's worth more than a bonus to a classified person over time. Now, if you was getting ready to retire, yeah, that's $2,000, it's more. But here's the thing that they don't realize, a bonus does not count towards your retirement. You can't calculate a bonus towards your retirement. So it's a one-time thing. Here's $2,000, go blow it, save it, do whatever you want to with it, but when it's all said and done, it doesn't mean anything to you in the future. Give them a 1% raise, or in this case here, a 3% raise, that means a lot in retirement. That 1% becomes multiplied over the years that you're there. It's worth a whole lot more to give a raise. So you all been really good in hard times. We've given a 1% raise for the last 3 years. This will top it off with 3 more, so our employees will have got a 6% raise over a 4-year period. And we can't afford it. So points of emphasis, and I'll let you all ask any question you want. Core reading and math program, we've budgeted $300,000 in Esser. We're not using any capital outlay funds in this budget. The total bonding potential of the district's 3.7. Special project code for construction and equipment. In this budget, there's going to be a special project code that will have $1.35 million in it that's going to pay for the cost overruns for the projects, the high school project and the equipment that's needed. And I'll show you what that is in a minute. Now you're saying, where did that money come from? That money comes from, remember, you rolled almost $600,000 more than you projected this year. There's $600,000 worth of Esser funds there, and there was a CD that we cashed in. That's your $1.35 million. That should pay for all the change orders and everything that we've got out there. There is going to be a transportation fuel cost. We've got it budgeted, $300,000. We're not buying buses. There's no buses in the budget. We bought 26. We can hold off a year. Rank and step increases are in there. The retirements usually cover that. The 18-19 attendance, this is what I'm talking about. We've got to work hard on attendance this coming year, and we also got to work hard to get our homeschool students back. And we've already got parents calling and students calling. We've already got students coming back into the system. I am a little worried about our kindergarten and preschool enrollment, but as of right now, it's early. Also know that already in the budget, you're going to get an additional $220,000 next year. That's that next $100. They went from $4,000 to $4,100. That was $220,000. Next year it goes from $4,100 to $4,200. That's an extra $220,000 that you'll have there as a cushion. We don't expect any big changes in Fund 2 revenue, and right now, we're not looking at any raises in the FY24 budget. That's next school year, unless we see when we get to the spring, if you all want to put it in a May budget. I'll still be the sitting superintendent at that time. You all got that decision. So that's sort of what we're thinking, and Angie sort of needs some guidance as we go through this. And let me point out one thing on that $1.35 million. That fund is restricted. I'm going to ask you all to approve a motion when we approve that working budget, not working budget, when we approve the tentative budget, there's going to be another motion that you're going to restrict that $1.35 million, And the only way I can spend it is I've got to come to you and ask you for it. Nobody just can't spend it. Angie can't decide to take $200,000 out of it for something. I can't decide to take $100,000 out of it. It's board restricted to pay for those construction projects. Then you say, well, what happens if we have $400,000 left in it after next year? Then great. 10 years from now, you're gonna have to put that carpet back on that field again. It's gonna be about $650,000 by the time that 10 years rolls around. You better be saving money to take care of those things, because if not, then it's gonna hit somebody, you know? It'd be like you getting a $20,000 medical bill, and you're not ready for it. You know, you get a $650,000 turf bill, and the board and superintendent's not ready for it. We're gonna plan, we're planning for those things, and Angie's putting things in place that in FY '24, we're gonna put $50,000 more into that fund. We'll put it in the restricted fund, it's there.
Build it up.
So you start building cash. Then if something happens, you need a HVAC unit, or we need to drill 3 new wells at the middle school for the geothermal well field, all the superintendent's gotta do, say, listen, we've got 3 wells that's went down, it's gonna cost us $85,000. Can we use the restricted fund to do this? It's up to you all to approve it. So I think it protects the board, and it doesn't leave a big amount of money out there for a bunch of, to just dig into whenever they want to. Now, do y'all have any questions?
Everything else very good.
I think it's a lot of what we talked about when Brian and I had a meeting with you last week, I guess it was. But I think what I would like to ask from Rebecca, if you already have, is to let us have copies of this so we can look at it, drill down on it, and then come back in our meeting, our regular call
On the
meeting in
19th.
May, and approve a tentative budget for then. I think that'll give everybody some time to look at it, and, and you can ask me or Mr. Saylor anytime about what you find or questions that come up. And we worked really hard on trying to put these things together when Mr. Saylor and Brian and I met, and then he'd been working closely with Tanya and Angie, and so this is not something that just came about lightly, I guess is what I'm saying. There's a lot of work that's went into this.
We've been meeting about once a month or every 2 months, Tanya and Angie and I have, trying to gear towards this, because, listen, there's a big responsibility there when all of a sudden the school district has an additional $12 million. And you want to be good stewards of that, because as Ms. Isford said, that's one time. There won't be money like this again. And know that Angie's got a big report due next week on Esser 2 funding. We'll have to follow that up probably next spring with Esser 3 funding. We're making sure that all these items are budgeted. We're making sure that they're being spent where they're supposed to. I know Amanda, guys, is in charge of a lot of money when it comes to Fund 2 budgets. She's working on those budgets to make sure that they're right. And we're trying to get things, and we're slowly trying to work things back from Esser to general fund. The one thing you can't do is pull it out of general fund, spend the money, and then not get it back in. But now remember, there's like 10 Esser positions there. They're marked in pink in these budgets that you'll get. Those items are funded this year, and they're funded next year. But after that, the board will have to decide, do we have enough money to keep them, or do we have to let them go? And every person that was hired in those positions, they knew up front, when they were hired, those jobs was for 3 years. We told them they were for 3 years. So we've tried to treat people right. We've tried to let them know what's going on. We've tried to make sure this money is being spent for kids and for the future. Because once it's gone, it's gone. And we're trying to leave a legacy behind that everybody can enjoy for years to come.
And those positions that were hired using the Esser money was 3 nurses, a principal, a social worker, and a counselor.
Counselor, and there's
that
4
right?
part-time custodians.
I forgot the custodians.
Yeah, there's 4 part-time custodians at 4 hours each to help with the additional cleaning during all this. And the funny thing is that everybody goes on about whether or not mask wearing and all that, whether it was good or not. You know, the one thing we didn't have when we had masks on? Flu. Guess what? Last week we had to be off school at Springs and South. Right now, the middle school is having a hard time. And they're talking about, well, do we keep going to school or do we take some TRI days? Well, here's the problem. They've got field trips scheduled every day. So if we take off school, their field trip's canceled. And there's no opportunity to make them up. They're gone. So, I mean, we're just having to bite the bullet right now. But the reason why we're able to bite the bullet is that everything's based on 18, 19 attendance. If this was next year, oh, I'd be sweating bullets right now because the sickness would have devastated us the last 3 weeks. And it's all flu cases. We've had a couple of COVID cases, but not very many. It's all flu right now. And we didn't, last year, I don't know that we had 10 cases of flu. But we had masks on every day. So evidently, masks are a lot more effective at stopping flu than it is some of the other things that we talk about. But I think those days, I think we're now in the point we're gonna have to learn to live with the pandemic. I don't think you'll go back to mandatory mask. We might have to as a board, you know, if you get a school that just goes crazy, you might have to ask a school or a grade level. Really strongly recommend it, but to mandate it anymore, I think that ship's probably sailed. I don't think it's gonna happen no more, so we're in a good spot. It's a good spot to be in. There's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of responsibility, but we're in a good spot. I think we can make sure that our kids need what they need. I think we can take care of our employees in a big way in this budget. And as soon as Angie gets this tentative budget, as soon as she gets it sort of in a place that we can release it, it will go on the site. Rebecca will have it on site. She's gonna go ahead and start posting for the May 19th meeting. We'll start building that agenda right now and start posting attachments where you'll have them. But we'll copy these and we'll just get them to them and you guys can come by and pick them up or whatever you need to do. Any other questions about anything? I mean, we don't have to sit here and beat a dead horse to death, but it's important for you all to know where we're at and what we're doing. I would show you here, this last thing is our construction items and equipment that's needed. Remember that we've done some additional bleacher work at baseball, softball, football. We bought brand new coolers for concession stands. The only ones we did not buy right now is for football because we have several pretty good concessions, but look at those. We paid for additional blacktop at baseball, softball, it was $82,000. Have y'all been up?
Not yet.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Need to drive up and see it. I mean, it just sounds nice to go up through there and your car just runs so quiet. You don't have to hear no gravel hitting you thing, and you can go to a ball game and you don't have to take a clothespin with you to clip it on your nose to go to the porta potty. You know, it's just so nice. We know that we're paying for the track surface. That's $115,000 we've got to come up with. We did that out of contract. We're buying us concession equipment, all the lockers for baseball, football, softball, and they're behind, guys. They're not going to be on time. It'll honestly be next spring when baseball, softball pops. It's going to pop then. Right now, I mean, it's fantastic. And we had somebody the other day said, I wish you'd let me design this. We would have done this and this and this. You know, everybody now they're wanting to fuss about what's done. And look at what you had and look at what you got. I mean,
That's exactly what I
Lord have mercy. I just sometimes I can't get it, but that's okay. Security cameras. All of these fields will now have security cameras, and there'll be security and phones. There'll be phones in the dugout. There'll be phones in the concession and press boxes. So security upgrades. And I tell you how we're gonna pay for that, is that we're gonna take the one-to-one money that would have been in this budget, and we're moving that entire $120,000 to school security to pay for those cameras. We're figuring out how to do this, and make the most use of our dollars. We had to buy side by side to sweep the turf. You gotta sweep that turf after every game. And so we bought I can't think what, it's a Kawasaki, I believe we bought. It's like a $20,000 purchase. Sort of like a mule, but I don't think, was it a mule we bought? But anyway, we bought it. It should be here any day. And we can use it during baseball, softball season. We've talked about using it to help transport people up the hill if they have to park down at the middle school. You know, just to try to help out a little bit. Track equipment, you're gonna have a brand new 8-lane track. It's $75,000 to buy all the equipment for that track. Tennis court lighting, that's the only thing I've not pulled the trigger on. Because I just don't know right now. I wanna make sure before we do that. But I'm gonna get us a price to see what it's gonna cost to light those tennis courts. I believe we've got the money to do it. And we need to do it if we're gonna do it while they're there.
Tennis courts are nice.
They're nice.
Had a match last night.
I know.
And there's 2 more coats that go on those tennis courts. They just put the top 2 coats on it so we could play. There's 2 more coats. They worried about the other day, there was a big hole that came in the corner of the tennis court down there on the side next to the thing, and I thought, oh God, is that thing gonna break up again? Well, where they put the retaining wall in, they undermined the court, so it
I've
fell
not
out.
seen them out there
So
yet,
it's
but I
not,
wondered
nothing
about
going
that.
on. We paid, go ahead.
Are there bleachers gonna be out there at the tennis court?
Yes, the small bleachers that's currently being used at baseball, softball come down to the tennis courts. So they come down there.
I thought we said that before,
Yeah.
but I
Yes.
couldn't remember.
So if we get them lit, I mean, it'll be, matter of fact, I talked to somebody the other day, the concrete around them, we're painting all it, it's gonna be stained royal blue, and your big flying E's will be on the concrete down through there. We'll get it all cleaned up. Furniture for offices, all the furniture for all the offices in the baseball, softball, new football complexes, we're paying for it. We're gonna renovate the football concession stand as soon as it's out here. Maintenance is doing that. They're gonna convert the teacher conference room into high school. We're gonna work in the auditorium. We need to put new carpet in the auditorium where it flooded. So we need to get that done. There's some other things we'd like to do. We're gonna get a price to paint the last thing that you can do this central office is the hallways and the common areas need to be painted. It's not been painted in 20 years. The middle school security doors and South Irvin security, we're gonna look into that here, once we get to Springs. The sound and lighting system in the auditorium. We're gonna look at the existing fences and scoreboards. And you can see right here's where the 1.35 million, Sheila, I see it. Here's where your 1.35 million is gonna come from. There's actually $70,000 still left at the ATC. The high school project still has 167, so that's $237 we've got left to spend, but look at your others there. All the indirect costs from Esser, 900,000, the CD and the 300 carryover is 1.35 million. So we actually got, as you can see, almost $1.7 million that's sitting there that we can use if we need it. Yes, Sheila?
What about the flooring on the stage in the auditorium?
We've done some checking into that, and what most people do is exactly what's on that stage. It's plywood and they paint it. Because there's so much stuff that's done. We painted it 2 years ago. It probably needs to be repainted again. But that's what most people do. I've seen people do some different things with it. You just gotta be careful, especially now that you're running we're starting to have some performances. I think, didn't we have one this past weekend? We had a performance and we're starting to have some drama, a drama class and some performances taking place there. We've got a few little old things to mop up, but I tell you, our facilities, I don't know what we could do different once we're done.
Put them up against
It's anyone's.
Yeah, for a school district our size, we've done a lot with a little. And that sort of shows you the change orders right now, if you want to see what change orders is out there. The only change order I see, there's a couple I've got in red, and I know that's sideways. Those, no, I'm sorry, they're in blue. There's a couple of things there in change orders that, I don't know the exact cost of them right now, but you can see right now, we've already
Can you
approved.
rotate?
We've already approved 716,000, the way it was in there, the first one is right, that one, it's just the way it codes it, but there's 716,000, what'd I say, we had 1.5? So that's half of it right there.
We got the concrete stairs from the high school lot to the ATC, the asphalt apron for softball, the baseball, softball force main, and the fence for softball's retaining wall.
That retaining wall, the football field is awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, it's coming, you see it, I mean, it just
amazing.
keeps coming around through there.
It's amazing.
That's gonna
Are we
be a
have-
beautiful-
Let me ask this question, are we gonna have some type of fencing at the top of it?
Yeah, it's
So
got a
nobody
4 foot, it's
that-
got a 4 foot black fence all the way
Okay.
around top of it.
That's my, I thought, oh my goodness, somebody go.
Well, see, that's the $15,000, right there it is, Jeremy got
Yeah,
it.
you got it.
There's a $15,000 price tag right there on the bottom. You've been up there at softball, you see that big retaining wall behind it? I said, I can't
Them kids have
believe,
done been up
I
there.
can't believe every time you guys open your mouth, you talk about safety and you talk about whether or not this is gonna last, and I said, you didn't put a fence on top of that
That's what I
wall?
was thinking.
Oh, cause them
Please.
kids was up there the other night, and I was like, that didn't do a bit of good.
Good.
There's gonna be a 6 foot fence that goes on top of that wall that will keep anybody from, because
See football there.
I ain't even gonna say it because somebody will hear me
Yeah,
say it
right.
before they get it done, and they'll go and try what I was getting ready to say.
Don't
So
say
I'll
it.
just hush. I'll tell
Don't
you
say
all
what.
off camera what I'm worried about.
No.
But that's gonna be taken care of. The force main, of course, we've got bathrooms, so that's been done. We've just not paid for it yet. The asphalt apron at the softball field, that's something that, in design, the concrete stairs, high school, middle school, we did not get the final cost on that, but it's right at 100, I think it's 105. But all those things are approved. So whenever they're done in August,
Check it out.
you've got new blacktop from entrance to entrance at the high school, from the entrance on the upper end to the lower end, everything's redone. No old blacktop, everything's brand new. It's brand spanking new, just like right now, it's brand spanking new. Baseball, softball, all the way down to the middle school entrance, everything's new, done. Now, they've got some landscaping stuff, I'm not happy with the way it looks there at the middle school where they connected that. I mean, that looks like, doesn't look good, and they've got some work to do up on top where they've got to work on some of the ditches and stuff, but,
Have they repaired the pedway yet?
they're supposed to start here once we get out of school. They've got
Okay.
the materials, they had to order materials. And you just can't pull off those pieces. You
No.
gotta start on one end,
And
take
work
it
your
all
way up.
off, put it all back on.
Okay.
But it'll be fixed by next school year.
All these construction things, do they like have a checklist for every item that they work on? I mean, just out of curiosity.
When everything's done, like whenever they get the press box finished, they walk in and they do a punch
Punch
of
list.
everything
Like
that's
a punch
supposed to be
list,
there.
right.
They do a punch of everything. Right now, they're working on the punch on all the landscape items at the baseball, softball. And, so they'll work every bit of it off.
Listen, I'm impressed with the fellows that had worked up there. I mean, we were having a game one night, there's a baseball game going on, softball game going on. It's probably about 8 o'clock, and those guys are still up there laying sod. I mean, they felt the crunch, and they're willing to get in there and get it done, you know? I mean, it was, had a good group.
You got it.
Well, hopefully next week, they will start laying the curb for the track. The field drainage, one side's going slow, but knock on wood, they've not hit the first rock on the other side.
Well, thank goodness.
So they've almost dug the other side in half the time and they're still not through on the one side. So the drainage is gonna go in if by some miracle we could dodge this rain tonight. They'll do a lot of work in the next 2 days. I told them today was 2 days. They thought it was gonna rain last night and it didn't. I said, you got 2 days? They, what do you mean you got 2 days? I said, well, you got to work today and you didn't lose a day. So that's 2 days, the way I look at it. That's why I started counting. They just shook their head at me, but
They got the bleachers laid out up there, I saw that.
bleachers are laid out and started. The visiting bleachers arrive in 3 weeks, so they'll be up.
No,
Our baseball, softball bleachers will arrive the day after the dedication, so there ain't nothing we can do about it. We'll just go with what we got. And, like I said, the baseball, softball field will pop next spring. That's when it will pop. They're going to fertilize the fields next week and try to get the grass by time district, trying to get it up. And so, there's little things that's gotta be done, but,
but look how far we've come.
a long way,
Oh, my gosh.
a long way.
I was just driving up there the other day, just,
From porta potties
Just
to
seeing
extra
what-
bathrooms.
and I'll tell you this, and I'm not knocking on Fleming County, because they got a really nice complex up there. I went up there, we went to a ball game up there, and I said, yes, ma'am, can you tell me where the restrooms are? She went, the porta potties are over there. And I thought, that's so awesome.
We don't have porta
You not
potties.
give directions to the porta potties. It's so awesome. It's so awesome.
Well, guys, Tanya can tell you, the day I arrived, we had right at $1 million worth of bonding capacity. I've told everybody, we could not have built an outhouse. We did not have the money to build a bathroom. And now look at where you're at.
It's great.
I mean, with everything, including what we got with this Esser, if the Estill Springs project, if we get it up and off the ground and going, we're gonna spend almost $45 million in construction in an 8-year period. We had less than $1 million. That's unreal. That is unreal, and it's a testament to you guys and testament to the past boards that sit here over the last 7 years. And I'm telling you, they won't nobody be able to say, poor old Estill County, hey, they got a great field, but I hate them porta potties. You won't hear that no more. And hopefully, you know, we get the bathrooms there at the stadium fixed and the new dressing rooms and, you know. Yeah, it'd be nice if we had a indoor practice area. We just don't have it, but listen, we didn't even have anything before then. So there's some things that, yeah, we need to leave the next superintendent something to
projects.
work on, don't we? I mean, so, and you guys will be here working with them, so, whether it's him or whether it's a her or whoever it may be, you'll be here working with them to see what we can do in the future. And you'll get to see me. I'll be right there on the NFHS network, sitting in my 2 seats right there in that gym. I'm getting ready to buy my 2 seats for that football stadium. So, somebody's gonna have to look at me sitting there.
You sit by me, so it'll be me.
Yeah. I'm in front of you. I want it down front. That way, of course, that means people can throw stuff at me too, but I want it down front.
She can throw things right back at her head.
Any questions? If not, I mean, we're ready to close if y'all have no questions, and,
I appreciate y'all's hard work on all this. I know there's a lot goes into that.
Doing.
I just would say it's where it's National Teacher Appreciation Week. I appreciate every teacher that we've had right now. We've had past teachers, present teachers, future teachers. I mean, obviously, they don't get all the praise that they need, you know. Us as a board don't get the praises we need, but, you know, but I just want to say thank you to all the teachers in Estill County. And we do appreciate you, what you're helping them with our children.
And I
here, here.
And I expressed it on Facebook to all the staff. Because I've been there where you're at and walked in your shoes.
Well, it's anybody who has a job, you know, you have a lot of difficulties every day. It's like a grind. It's probably, I would say teaching is way worse than
It's something
anything I
new,
do.
it's something new every day. It's a new adventure, good or bad.
Y'all asked me 3 years ago to do that. One thing I didn't mention, and it will be part of your salary schedule too, and it's been something we've been working on for 2 or 3 years, we have revamped our extra service salary schedule as well in terms of our coaches and tried to address inequities within that. So we have, we've taken a stab at that, and We've looked at it, and Austin and I went through that thing with fine tooth comb. I'll share that with you all as well, if you'll remind me, that's what it looks like, and then I will get it back. But the coaching salaries is gonna be based on years' experience, just like teacher pay is. So that means you're not gonna have somebody that's coached for 20 years, that's gonna make $7,000 coaching basketball, and you hire a brand-new basketball coach, and guess what they make? $7,000. It's not gonna be that way no more. It will add a little bit of cost, but I do think it's equitable. And if you've got a good coach and you wanna keep a good coach, and you need to let them know it. So that's, as part of your salary schedule as well, that'll be updated. But, that's it, guys. I don't have anything else, and there's no need for me to keep you around. If you all are good, I guess Ms. Isford will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to have a motion to adjourn. Sheila Samples makes a motion. I need a second. Tammy Hardy makes a second. All in favor?